Alright, so I'm going to share the top stocks that I'm investing in for 2020. These are basically all the ones that are literally in there right now. So, first one is Starwood Property Trust, ticker symbol STWD. And I like this one because it pays a really nice dividend yield. And it's an annualized payout of $1.92. So for every share you have, you get $1.92 for the year. Those are paid quarterly. Great dividend. It's a REIT, diversified. I actually got this one from Tom Likas. For anybody who doesn't know Tom Likas, look him up. A lot of good content. A lot of hilarious content too if you look him up on YouTube. A lot of the old radio shows. I actually subscribe to his content that he still does. You got to pay a little bit of money for the podcast now, but it's premiumtime.com for anybody that wants to get it. But yeah, great content if you enjoy that kind of stuff. But yeah, I recommend looking him up on YouTube first and check him out. But this was actually given out by him. He did a podcast somewhere in the last year or two, somewhere in there, and this was mentioned, and I had my eye on it for a while. So great dividend payer. Just from what I've seen, I don't think it'll grow drastically, although here in the last month or so it has a little bit. But it's a great dividend payer, so even in the down market, good one to be in. Let's see, and the next one, BTI, that would be the tobacco company, British Tobacco. And right now that's been going up like crazy here lately, so the dividend yield's a little bit lower because the stock's gone up. But as you can see, an annualized payout of $2.59, pretty good price, or pretty good dividend, and it's been growing a lot. I got in on it at about $37. I don't own a ton, believe me. Wish I had a lot more money to invest sometimes, but I think I've got around 50 shares or so of that. So, an alright amount, believe me. Wish I had more to throw in. That's been pretty good, and I got it at a pretty low price. So, I think it's a good one. Whether there's a recession or not, smokers are going to smoke. So, I think that's a good one, and like I said, especially because I got it at a good price. Now, if all of a sudden that rises up to 65, 70 bucks a share, I don't know. I don't know if I'd get it if it gets that high, but, do your own research, as everybody on YouTube tells you. Let's see. Next is CHL, China Mobile. I don't have much of this. I think I've got... I don't even remember, maybe 5 or 6 shares, something like that. I just got it because I've been seeing it. A couple other much more popular YouTubers than myself mentioned it. I looked it up. Morningstar gives it a pretty good rating. Say it's undervalued. Yada, yada, yada. Basically, it's the largest Chinese mobile provider in China. So I just kind of got a few shares just based on recommendations and Morningstar. So no harm, no foul. Payout of $1.75 annualized, not bad. As you can see, about a 4.1% yield. So again, not bad. It's got room to grow. The way everything's talking, it's undervalued, so room to grow and a dividend. Next is Enbridge, the Canadian, one of the pipeline companies. Again, good dividend yield. Payout $2.22, and again, room to grow. Price has kind of going up and down over the last year or two, but Morningstar research shows about 25 to maybe 30% growth in the next year to 2 to 3. So again, a decent little dividend and a little room to grow. Again, if you want to see much more detailed information, I really do recommend going to Morningstar and getting a subscription. So you can look a lot of this stuff up, because they give you much more detailed information. I'm just going over the very broad basic highlights and all this stuff. Next is Haynes HBI. I've already been in this one for a little bit, a few months. It's been kind of down. I got it 16 something, so I'm actually in the red on that one at the time for my purchase. But again, as you can see, the yield isn't bad, 60 cents on the annualized, but pretty low stock price. Everything's saying this is pretty undervalued. Morningstar still has it as a 5-star at its current price, so definitely room to grow, and I'm sure it will at some point. So not a bad one. I certainly wouldn't put a ton into this, but you know, whatever your budget allows, you know, if you're, you know, got a decent amount, you know, maybe 100 shares or something like that. I think I have around maybe 50 shares of it, so again, 50 or 60, not a ton, but you know, again, it ain't bad. Like I said, a little decent dividend there too. Next is MasterCard. I literally just got just a share of this. Literally, I just got one share. That's it. Just picked it up though in the last week, and I think I got it right around 312, 313, I believe. So it's already gained about 10, which is good. But these credit card companies, they have just been growing just stupidly astronomically high. I honestly wish 5 years ago, you know, could have picked up on this trend. These are just growing like mad. Visa is another good one. Again, I just got 2 shares of that. And again, that one's just growing. Again, you know, they pay dividend, but it's not real high at all, you know, compared to what their current stock price is. So you're certainly not really buying these for the dividend, of course, but they seem to be growing like crazy. So I don't see how people can go wrong. You know, again, it's all relevant to how much money you can afford on it. Believe me, if I had millions of dollars, I would definitely put in, you know, again, not a ton, but, you know, hell, 10, 20,000 in each of these. I don't see why not. They just keep growing. I really don't see how you can go wrong with these. And, you know, more and more credit cards are constantly used all the time. And it's like, well, even if there's a recession, you know, people, if anything, are going to go into more debt and be using their credit cards even more. And then on top of that, you got, you know, just all these transaction fees that they make. So I don't see how you can go wrong with a lot of those. McDonald's, ticker symbol MCD, that's another one that's constantly been doing very good over the years. Dividend payout of $5 a year, paid quarterly, 2.38%. So not a bad dividend yield at the stock price. So again, that's another one. These are all long-term holders, you know, in my opinion. MasterCard, Visa, McDonald's, you buy them to keep them. You don't buy them to try to make a little gain and sell it. You know, you buy these for the next 20, 30 years. But you keep an eye on them, though. You can't just set it and forget it. You know, if you would have done that with Frontier stock or Sears stock, you know, you'd pretty much be flat broke today. So, you know, when you get these things, you got to keep tabs on this stuff. You can't just buy it and completely forget about it. But most likely these are long-term companies, but you never know. McDonald's could turn into Sears one day. So as long as you keep up with it, you'll be in the clear. And let's see, a couple more here. Walmart, again, I think there's room for growth there, in my personal opinion. Morningstar basically says it's pretty much fairly valued at the moment, which, you know, they certainly know more than most people would. I just, I think there's room to grow there with Walmart. And again, you know, they do pay a dividend. So would I put a ton of money into this stock? Certainly not, but I think having a few shares of it, I don't see, again, how you can go wrong with having a little bit. Microsoft is another one. I currently do not have any Microsoft. I probably will this year later on. It's certainly on my to buy list. Again, pretty fair price. You get a dividend. Everybody talks about Apple. I'm not personally a big Apple fan, but boy, you just don't. It's hard to see how you can go wrong with their stock when you look at how much it's growing. But personally, I don't have it right now, but it's on my radar. But at this high a price, it kind of scares me. So again, I'm not sold on that myself, but a lot of people have done obviously very well. Another one on the radar, again, this is way out of the league for a lot of folks, but Amazon. You know, a lot of people feel Amazon is, you know, could easily still grow to 3,000 per share. So at 1864, I mean, you know, it seems, you know, in my mind, kind of high, but you know, I think if I could catch it at 1600 again, assuming if I'd have enough, you know, I would consider a share of it or two, or what, you know, whatever you can afford. Again, that seems to be a very good growing company. Hard to go wrong, it seems like, with that. But again, you always want to keep an eye on things. So I do not own any Amazon, but certainly in the radar for this year. And that's pretty much it on my list of stocks. And then of course, you know, my main thing is still the mutual funds. So I'm still a very big fan of the Vanguard Wellington Fund. Here's just a couple of the other ones if you want to look them up. So I got the T Rowe Blue Chip Growth Fund. That's been doing good, but I could see that one starting to falter a bit, especially if we go into a recession. So hard to say if that, but we'll keep doing good. But that's long term. Like I said, my Wellington Balance Fund, that's VWELX. That's a balance fund, keeping that forever. Some ETFs that I have a few would be VDC, that's Vanguard Consumer Staples. Invest in like Clorox and a lot of companies like that. Coca-Cola, been around a long time. I think that's a good one. Vanguard Financials ETF, ticker symbol VF as in Frank, H. That's a good one. A lot of analysts are predicting financial companies to do very well in 2020. Vanguard Value ETF, VTV. Those I believe are just long-term valued companies. It pays a fairly decent little dividend, I think somewhere around the 2% mark. Very good ETF. Again, you can look that up. VTV, Victor Tom Victor. And the last one I have on the list for that would be VNQ. That's the Vanguard Real Estate Index. Absolutely love that one. Just nothing not to like on that one. That one's just fantastic. I think it's VNQ. Yeah, that should come up. Again, it's a REIT, around a 4% dividend. As you can see, the annualized payout $383. To me, nothing not to like about that one. A few things I've read said some people kind of feel at the current price it could be slightly overvalued at this time, but I mean that doesn't bother me at all. They got a good dividend payout. The yield's good. It's again, that's long term for me. I'm basically hoping to keep adding to that one and, you know, keep that for the next 30 years easily, or if not longer. So if you got any questions, leave them in the comments below. I certainly don't claim to be any expert whatsoever. And I always encourage everybody to always do your own research, no matter who you watch on here. There's a lot of good channels out there for investing that would go way more in depth than I probably would ever be able to. So keep that in mind. Those are just what I've been going with. But like I tell everybody, do your own research. Don't ever believe anybody on YouTube or just take their word for it without researching it yourself. I mean, I've gotten a lot of great recommendations from other YouTubers that I've looked up, but I always have to see it from multiple sources, and I encourage everybody to look all that stuff up and do your own evaluations. And if you're afraid of just individual stocks, I know some people just think that's too risky. To me, that's not a problem. That's what places like Vanguard or Fidelity are for. You know, just do mutual funds or ETFs, and you know, those many times could be a much safer bet. And that's pretty much, for the most part, what I'm doing. And these other, you know, the stocks that I was talking about, those are just a much smaller chunk for me. I mean, I want to keep them growing over time too and keep putting more in. But, you know, more money will definitely go into the mutual funds for myself. So hope you enjoyed. Hope it wasn't too boring. If it was, let me know. If you want to see some more stuff or any other topics, certainly holler. Peace!